What's up everybody, Soul here with another sort of Convallaria video, and today we're going to take a look at the newest character set to be dropped here in just a few days, and that is Miss Credenza. Miss Credenza is looking solid. She's got a lot going on in her kit, and you will not be disappointed with what she can do for you. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So first and foremost with Miss Credenza, we have to take a look at her trait. Bear in mind, translations. Sorry, I tried to get some resources and some extra access from XD Studios because I know I have a lot of new people subscribed from Final Fantasy Tactics, and unfortunately I haven't gotten a response on that. If you're looking at this and you're a Tactics subscriber, this is a fantastic new tactical game. It's been out for about a year, a little over a year now, and it is a fantastic alternative to Tactics or tactical gameplay. Without me going any further than that, her trait right here, dedicated to glory. Of course, that is a translation. When some of your skills will have an additional effect when you have holy revelation. When executing standby, you sacrifice 20% of your current HP to gain holy revelation at the start of your next action. Lasts for 1 turn. So this is a lot like our girl Karis in that she gets that additional effect when she gets X amount of charges. You're going to have the same thing here when you go into standby and have an additional effect on your spells. And so she gets that holy revelation, which we can see right down here. No, we'll just keep reading along right here. I don't want to get too confused on all this. Every time you sacrifice 10% of your current health or attacked after 12 times, you gain the skill Holy Trace. Upon being defeated, you trigger Divine Punishment. There's a lot of different terms going around here. Okay, you increase your magic attack by 15%. The skill Holy Trace is enhanced, where it restores 2 energy to allies and reduces all cooldowns by 1, and then grants Glorious Grace for 2 turns, and gain Invoke Holy Revelation. There's a lot of triggers, a lot of different things going on here at the start of combat, lasting until the start of your action. When I was checking her out over on the test server, there's a lot going on here. And it took me a while to read through it all, to test it, blah blah blah, to understand it. It's a lot, but it's pretty awesome, to be honest with you. When you first obtain Holy Revelation, the duration is increased by 1 round, and then when you have Holy Revelation, the energy consumption of all skills is reduced by 1. So a lot to unpack there, right? Let's see if we can't open it up over here on the other page and read what some of these other things are. Of course, Divine Punishment deals 70% magical area damage to all enemies within 5 squares, and then applies blindness. So that's really, really cool. Of course, that's when defeated, right? And then we have Holy Miracles right here. This skill can be used only once per battle. Prepare for 1 turn, dispel all debuffs on all allies within 5 squares, and restore 100% health, and gain all level 2 buffs for 2 turns. Yeah, pretty cool. Immediately unleash this skill once upon preparing, but the healing amount of the duration of the buffs are reduced by half. The player also gains Prayer of Holy Revelation, which lasts until the next action. That's really cool. Holy Revelation is some skills can produce an additional effect. When producing additional effects, an additional 30% of the magic attack value is added to treatment or heals. So a lot going on there. And then Holy Miracles, we read that one already. It just basically gets better and better with each level. Now at 1 star, you don't have a lot going on in this kit. You know, your magic attack is increased by 5. You are not reducing cooldowns or supplying energy. You get that at 2 stars, and then at 3 stars, your magic attack goes up to 10, and then, yeah, your duration is increased by 1 round in the Holy Revelation, and then it consistently gets better and better. In my opinion, her trait goes insane at 5 stars. So she could probably do a job at 1 star, but it really kind of opens up at 2 stars. I'd call that a break point. And then I think it just goes ham at 5 stars. So that's what you really want on her. Anything less is doing her some injustice. With that said, let's take a look at her skills. Her innate ability is Ember Blessing. Healing skill Revelation sacrifices 10% of the current HP to single target healing of 100% of your magic attack and dispels one debuff while possessing Holy Revelation. This skill is changed to an instant. That's phenomenal. Of course, it's 1 energy, 1 turn cooldown, but if you have that Holy Revelation charge on Credenza, this spell becomes instant. Really, really nice. Over here at rank 1, we get Silent Prayer. When executing standby, heal all allies within 3 squares of herself, and the healing amount is 30% of her magic attack value and increases the duration of Prayer of Holy Revelation by 1. Seems like it's decent, but moving on over here, on the left we have 3 energy cost, ability, kindness, and care. Supports, this is a sacrifices 30% of her current HP and restores 2 energy to the target friendly unit. Then grant all allies within 2 squares of the target a random level 2 buff, lasting for 2 turns. When possessing Holy Revelation, the skill changes the effect, where it now restores an additional 2 energy to the central target and reduces the cooldown of all skills by 2. That's bonkers. That's phenomenal. And so that's really, really strong, and it's hard to imagine you wouldn't want this. You absolutely want this ability. Crazy. On rank 3 on the right, we have the Second Coming. This skill, Holy Treasure, can be used 1 more time. Interesting. Maybe you want it. I think this one would probably be more optional. Over here on the left, you have Helping the Needy. This is a passive. At the start of the action, you heal all allies within 4 squares for 20% of her magic attack value. When possessing Holy Revelation, the skill is changed. So the effect is now she gives a attack 2 and damage 2 for 1 round as a buff. So really nice. Free passive healing, free passive buffing. Can't say enough good about that. Now into her reaction skills at rank 5, Shelter of Light. We've seen this 100 times. Reduced damage coming in 30%, only once per round. It's decent. This one's really interesting though. Brilliant Protector. This is a reaction. When a friendly unit within 4 squares of the unit is attacked by a single target, it has to be a single target, reduce the damage by 15%. Then sacrifice 10% of this unit's current health. This can be triggered 2 times per turn, and while this unit is in the injured state, reduce its damage to 30%. That's pretty phenomenal. 30% damage reduction. So as you can see, Credenza is getting a lot out of basically giving up her HP. By sacrificing her HP, she is triggering her trait, getting those charges that you need to have the bonus effects on her spells, and she's absolutely healing all those around her and protecting them. Really, really cool, interesting play in Credenza. Now, rank 7, you get a general aura. It's called French Imperial Flag. That is obviously a mistranslation, but this is a Papal State aura. Very general, basic, nothing wrong with it. And then over here on the left, you have Ascetic, also a translation. After taking damage, you know what this is. You get that penitence. We've seen this on other characters. It stacks up to 3 times, and then of course you get that 1 energy for having those penance and whatnot. So this is a decent one right here, and probably what I'd suggest to go with, but you probably won't utilize it much. Now under her basic attacks, you have that Hypnotic Strike at 80%, and then a 30% chance to sleep. Yeah, cool, nice, whatever. And then over here you have Kind Heart Strike. This deals 80% magical damage and increases the next healing effect by 15% for 2 rounds. This is probably what most people will go with on her. It's pretty standard for any and all healers. You want them to have that extra effect. But really, you're probably going to stand by and not really use her basic attack, so it's meh, it's moot. Up here at rank 11, we have Glorious Trail. And now, Credenza gets Toughness. And at the start of the action, if you are injured, you gain Holy Revelation for 1 round. So you're just injured, you get it now. Pretty cool. And then at the end of the action, if you do not have Pray for Holy Revelation or Holy Revelation, you sacrifice 20% of your current health to gain Pray for Holy Revelation, which lasts until the start of the next action. So very, very nice stuff there. This one's definitely going to be probably worth the pickup. And then over here on the left is Purgatory Hymn. 3 energy cost, no cooldown, where she sacrifices 30% of her current HP to heal all allies within 3 squares for 60% of her magic attack, and then grants them attack 2 and damage 2 for 2 turns. After using this skill, you gain Pray for Divine Revelation, which lasts until the next action, okay? When possessing Holy Revelation, the skill's changed, as we expected, and the effect is enhanced to grant the target an additional glorious blessing for 2 turns. So that additional glorious blessing is an additional 15% to attack and damage, making her attack and damage buff an attack 3 effectively and a damage 3 effectively. Meaning, so now this right here, when she casts it, she's now granting attack 3, damage 3, and healing. Really, really good stuff. Amongst everything going on, it's phenomenal. This is a great ability, and hence why it's probably her ultimate up here at the top. So, her kit and caboodle looks really, really good. Powerful and has a lot going on. But what does that do for her ratings? So, when you take all that into consideration and tally them up in our rating score, which we have a video on, by the way, make sure you check that out, a character tier list, she comes in at a really impressive 56.5 score. The power creep is real here. Now, this is a healer that doesn't have a lot of ways to do damage, and doesn't have a lot of ways to do debuffs, and only has some utility. But her buffs and healing are through the roof, and then of course she's got survivability affecting her tanking score. So that comes in to be a 0 in physical damage, an 8.5 in tanking, a 15.5 in healing. That is our new highest rating, 15.5. A 3 in magic damage, a 20.5 in buffs. I believe that has finally dethroned Tear and is our new highest buff rating. And a 3 in debuffs and a 6 in utility, giving her a total of 56.5, making her a tier 0 character that you can feel very comfortable pulling for. The highest rating in healing, the highest rating in buffs. Just bear in mind, she's killing herself to help you. She's just so desperate to be a part of your plan and to help you and to get your team across the line. She's willing to kill herself to do it. It's going to be a fun mechanic to test and play with. But she has some very impressive ratings and comes in really, really strong in that way. Before we wrap this up, we have to talk about her tarot prediction per the norm. So when I look at her splash art, I see a lot of different things. Shout out to the hand at the bottom of the screen and the pink circle. I'm pretty sure that's the generation or the effect of AI art. Might be wrong. Tell me what you think in the comments, but this is looking a little bit like some AR. That pinky over there just did a whole full 90-degree angle turn at the joint. It is what it is. It's a weird image. Regardless, her art is pretty interesting. We see 2 feathers dropping down. We see her floating in the air and bound. We see her cape kind of like floating in the background, almost like it's catching up, so on and so forth. The hands reaching up for her. It's pretty symbolic of 2 different tarot cards, which I'm sure you can see already. I think she is attributed to the Hangman as her number 1, and then Judgment as her number 2. So those are the 2 tarots that I see here, and here's why. The top Roman numeral, the purple circles, let's talk about that. On the Judgment card, you have the double X's. Now, that is a Roman numeral for 20. I don't know that there's 20 of anything in this image, but I do see 2 X's in her clasp, in her apparel, whatever that is you want to call that, those belts draped across her legs. I see 2 X's there, and that's usually what I see when we're looking at those X's, when we look at this tarot card and we're looking for those high Roman numerals. Usually we just see symbolic reference rather than actual hard number. But the opposite is true with the Hangman. That Roman numeral is 12. It's a much smaller number, and so I actually count 12 hands reaching up for her in clear view of the image. So 12 hands are reaching up for her. Is that ironic? I don't know, but that's what I see. Not ironically, you see that she is hanging by one leg, and she's got one leg tucked behind her, just like the Hangman. She's kind of got that one leg tucked behind, and then also it is caught, and that is the one leg that is caught by a hand. That is just like the Hangman. You invert her picture upside down, and it really does look symbolic or similar to the Hangman. Another way that it's similar to the Hangman is that she's bound, and so that's one thing about the Hangman. If you understand the tarot card, it is a reference towards self-sacrifice and an acceptance in doing so, an acknowledgement in doing so. So that's why the Hangman's hanging upside down, caught, but at peace. And that's why the sword has kind of been surrendered. And that's what you see here. She is caught. She's not distraught. She's at peace. And so I think it's a strong reference to the hangman in that way too. Now jumping back to Judgment, let's wrap this up. We see 2 feathers up top in the blue circle. We see 2 bells. Those feathers are kind of glinting, almost like a chime. Definitely is a reference to those 2 bells in my opinion. Her cape floating in the background seems like a strong reference to the wings behind the Judgment angel. And then of course you see hands reaching up for that Judgment and seeking salvation, and that's what you see in her art. Very one for one on that one. Very, very clear on that. Now, jumping back over to the Hangman, where I think that's her primary card, you see that snake crawling up her stomach. You see it right there. And what's the design on the back of its head? 2 diamonds, 1 filled, 1 empty. That is a reoccurring theme in all of her apparel, we're going to say, but also the chains. And that's also symbolic of the hanged man. If you see the hanged man, which is the big yellow circle that I have around it, that's the point. You see her arms are crossed together. She's making a diamond with her body, and then she's making another diamond with her legs, which is open. So solid filled diamond, open diamond. That's the chain link symbol you see on her bindage, where she's bound. It's a reoccurring thing you see in her clasp and so on and so forth. And so I think that is what that is symbolizing. Now, when you look at also her eyes, and she's looking, one's bounded, one bandaged, and one's open, you could say the eyes are often shaped like diamonds, just like the snake, or she's got one open, one closed, just like the diamond on the back of the snake's head. And then, of course, being bound is the big one. She is absolutely bound. One hand's open. She's not looking like she's really resisting or fighting it. She's just accepting it. And that's the same thing with the hanged man, which is why I have this face circled. She's at peace with it. And then she and the hanged man is at peace with it too. Now, I've circled one of those diamond blades by the hangman's head in the tarot card because it's similar to the 2 feathers. There's 2 of those blades. That deserves some acknowledgement. And then the sword, that in the blue circle. You see that in her clasps on her, I'm going to say, I don't know, you can't call that a skirt, you call it like a half, I don't have any idea, but you see that in her clasp, and then you see that in her choker. It's almost the same design, and that reoccurring thing of diamonds all over it. That, of course, 4 points, diamond shape. So that's what I see when I look at these tarots, and I look at her splash art. I see strong resemblances to that, and I don't think it's ironic that she be attributed to Judgment, because of course she's trying to give people salvation and give them peace. That's her calling in life, if you understand her story. And then Hangman, self-sacrifice, also plays into her story, where she's basically sacrificing herself to help others. If you know, you know. And so this is the 2 tarot cards I think are meant to be hers. And so there you have it. That is my assessment of Credenza. She is an insanely strong character that is capable of doing an unprecedented amount of buffing and healing, giving tons of energy, cooldown, reductions, you name it. She's doing it, all albeit hurting herself to help you, but it's still an amazing thing. She is finally dethroned Tear on that buff number, and she's up there outscaling Coco in her ability to buff. I mean, she might be the new great thing that you absolutely need. And so feel comfortable in pulling her. The power creep is real. Her stats and abilities are also real. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for watching. Huge shout out to my Patreon members. I really appreciate y'all. I know my Sword of Convallaria content hasn't been personally coming out strong lately. Been a little distracted with the love of my life as far as gaming, and that is Final Fantasy Tactics. It's my favorite game of all time, but I am still here. I'm still going strong, and I did ask for some extra permissions from XD Studio to get this video out because I wanted Sword of Convallaria to be extra appealing for our community. I want to build our numbers. I want people to come over to our game from Final Fantasy Tactics. Unfortunately, I have been stonewalled by XD Studios, and I haven't gotten a response. Hopefully we get something here soon. With that said, I can't use anything from the test servers as information or images, and so I feel like this video looking at translated pages is kind of less than desirable if we're trying to entice people to come play. But that's my gripe. That's why I've been held up. That's one of the things that's giving me pause, and so obviously, I want to get this out before Credenza drops. I want everybody to understand whether or not she is pullable, how good she is, and have some clout in their decision. So thank you to my Patreon members. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, make sure you check out the link down below where our Discord is too. We talk all things Sword of Convallaria and then some. We'd be more than happy to have you with us. And until next time, I will catch you later. Bye.